Toxic is about a woman who was married to a warden, but she was a nurse in the prison where he was a warden at. And he beat the fuck out of her. And all the little police officers there would tell on her to the warden all the time, like if she did anything wrong. And they would just ha-ha kiki about this shit. Well, there's a prisoner that came in there, and he basically seduces her, I guess, and doesn't give her an option, and she breaks him out of jail. So when she breaks him out of jail, she was like, what the fuck? Like, why did you, like, you planned this all along and you played me. Well, anyways, so she goes home to pack her fucking shit. And homeboy, he comes to the house and he's like, you're going with me. She's like, hell no, I'm not. And then the husband comes home. Well, she ends up shooting him. He's gone. See you later. So she's like, what the fuck? So then she finds a car. So that way there, she can just leave town. She got a fake ID and all this other shit. She moves on over to California. Well, guess what? She gets freaking kidnapped. And then she finds out, homeboy over here, he's literally a hired serial you-know-what. Like, he's a hitman. That is his job. And he has all this money and all this shit. Anyways, they fell in love. And I think that you guys should read this book because there's so much more to it. I would give this book a 4 for sure. Verity was a writer who is now brain dead, and she didn't finish her series. So her husband seeked out another writer to finish her series, for her. Because I think there was like 3 books that were still left. And so she was like losing her apartment or whatever, and it was going to be like a couple of weeks before she could move into her new one. So he said, you know what, come to the house, go through her office and go through her stuff so you can kind of learn who she is so you can finish the series for her. Well, while she's there, she keeps thinking that Verity can like get up and talk and all this other shit going on, right? And then the husband's like, no, whatever. Turns out she can. And she had like found her autobiography that had said what she had did to her twins, that she killed her twins. Okay, so she had 2 girls that were twins, and then she had a young boy. She admits in there that she killed her 2 daughters, basically, okay? And then she's like, what the fuck? So then she helps the husband kill her. Then she gets pregnant, okay? She gets pregnant with the husband, right? And then they move, and then while they're getting everything out of the house, she sees this little, like, like the floor could come out. And so then she sees a paper, and then the fucking wife says that was all a lie. So she's like, what the fuck? I don't know what the hell to believe. And don't forget, like, they still have the son, which is now her, stepson or whatever. And so she's like, I don't know what the fuck to believe. And honestly, I don't either, because then the book ended. So I don't know who the fuck is telling the truth. I don't know who the fuck murdered who. And I don't know what our next, is there like a book 2? I don't know. Dead in the Water was a guy who went to the ocean with his wife, and then he got pulled under. So he literally died, and she brought him back to life. And when that happened, he kept on getting like these visions that he had seen this little boy, and he's like, what the fuck? And he's like, did I hurt this little boy? Did I kill him? I feel like I did. And she was like, no, you're crazy, all this other shit. And so they ended up divorcing because he just couldn't let it go. So later on in the book, he wants to keep dying. So he keeps literally dying so he can get to the bottom of this, right? This read was kind of hard to keep up with. So I'll just kind of get to the gist of it. Like, I'll just tell you like it is. So he keeps dying. He figures it out. He's actually the one who killed the boy. He's the one who like killed all these damn people. And then his dad had did prison time for it. But when he was a kid, he like did these things where it like made his brain forget. So like he couldn't remember everything. Well, he also had a half sister because his dad was married to like this therapist person who he saw and didn't know that they were married and all this other shit and that they had a kid together. Turns out, after he did die, because it was like, after all this shit, I can't live with this. So then he had this lady, Laura, off him. And Laura was actually one who offed his mom. And then his half-sister, after all this, she had like an email from him that told her like everything or whatever. So whenever she got there, he was still alive. So she freaking offed him the rest of the way because she's just as fucked up as he is. Fuck. Anyways, that was that. Okay, Daggermouth, such hype around this book. I was like, let me see for myself. what I think about it. First of all, let me just start off with 5 stars. Second off, I don't feel like waiting for the second book to come out. And I think it's coming out July 2026. Okay, so Daggermouth is about this. Okay, so it's like the dad, let's just say he's like he's the president. Okay, so the dad is the president. His sons and his daughter have to basically obey. So one of his sons is supposedly off in the book. Okay, he's gone. His other son is now the executioner. So whatever his dad says, whatever they do, if somebody does something wrong, they go on a platform, it's all aired out, okay? Then there's this woman that she gets contracts. So she's an assassin, she gets contracts. So there's other towns. So like their town is like hierarchy. And then the other ones, they basically have to fight over food and all the shit. Like they are just pieces of shit, right? So the assassin, she gets told to kill the brother. So she goes to attempt to do that, fails. Then the father's like, nay, you're not going to get we're not going to execute you. Now you're going to marry my son. So now they have to get married. Well, they both don't, like, she doesn't know that the son is literally helping out like her village, right? Like her people over there. And he's like helping, like getting medical supplies to them, food, whatever. And she didn't realize that the kids actually hate their father. Their mother hates their father. Like he is not a good person. Like he literally beats the shit out of his kids. If they aren't in line, they have to wear masks. Like all these people in the like town have to wear a mask, right? So you can never show your face. So anyways, then, do you guys want me to ruin the end for you? Whatever. Okay, so they plot to get rid of the father, but like without getting caught. And you know what? I'm just going to ruin it for you guys. If you don't want me to ruin it for you, then just like click off this part. So what happens is the brother that they thought was murdered, he was in with the father to pretend like he was murdered, but he wasn't. So he's like on the father's side. And then there's this person called Python, and the rumors had been like Python was like trying to get to the father to off him. Well, they're like supposed to be getting married. And then they find out that the brother's alive. He's taking the father's side. A lot of people are dying. Shit's happening. Well, guess how the book ends? Here comes Python. Guess who Python is? The mom. The mom is Python. And she's like, basically, I hate you. See you later. If you read this book, comment below. Let me know what you thought about it. And tell me how excited you are for book 2. Because, like, I need to know what happens now. God, this book was so fucked up. There's 3 sisters. The youngest one was abducted when she was, like, real little. The oldest sister is married, and they have, like, shit tons of money, all right? The middle sister, she's like average, but like kind of low class. Like they own a home and they have kids, but like they don't have really much money that they can, travel and all that. So the oldest sister was like, hey sis, we'll watch your kids, go to our vacation home. You guys have the best time, right? So they don't switch lives, but she babysits, they leave, whatever. So the middle one goes to the vacation home. They like have a great time, but then they get a phone call because her sister, the older one that's watching the kids, she is in the hospital and her husband is now, he's gone, okay? Because there was a break-in in the house. Well, what's so fucked up about this story, if you don't want me to ruin it for you, then you might just want to keep scrolling on right now. Because let me just tell you what, it turns out that the oldest sister ends up offing the husband, okay? Because he has like all these secrets and she's going to have her name ruined, okay? And she has 2 different DNAs, so she gets away with it. The youngest sister that was abducted comes back into the picture after her mom that had abducted her had passed away. Well, guess what? The mom that abducted her, the woman, it was the middle sister's husband's mom's sister that did it. And she thought that her sister had taken the child, but never, she didn't know 100% until the kid was 10. You guys, you need to read this book. And if you have, I need you guys to comment below and let me know what you thought about it. Okay, here's the thing. I am one of those people that my brain doesn't read reviews. Okay, I don't read reviews. I don't know what the fuck is going on with a book. And quite frankly, I'm kind of getting sick and tired of it. Because here's the thing. I will read a book that is a series not knowing that it's a series. And somehow I'll read like book number 2 instead of book 1. Okay? Does that have anything to do with the price of eggs of this book right here? No, it does not. Okay? This book gonna be on Netflix. It's gonna be a show or a movie or whatever it's gonna be. I did not like it. It wasted my time. And I really need to stop doing that. Okay? And okay, here's the thing. People said it's really good if you listen to it. I didn't listen to it. I read it. And I didn't like it. So, there's, long story short, there's this husband. Okay, I guess I should tell you. Hello, Spirit, get it together. I have my notes right here. So there's a husband and a wife. They had a baby. The baby died at 3 months old. They get divorced. He's a detective. She's a news reporter. And long story short, her mom was like often these girls that were like mean to her in school. And so then they're like, oh, trying to figure out who's murdering all these people. And then she finds out later on that it's her mom. I mean, I'm pretty sure it was her mom. I don't know. But then her mom, like, offed her dad before that and then said that she would never leave the house. And then she finds out later why she won't leave the house. And that's because her dad was buried under the flowers or some shit. Also, look at this. Silver Sister. It's coming in real nice. Yeah, I got sidetracked. I wouldn't waste my time reading this book. You're welcome. Or if you do, let me know what you think about it. But I didn't like it. Woman Down is about a woman who's a book writer, but she's been in a slump for like 18 months, okay? Because social media kind of like played a factor in that, and she's like, fuck this, I'm out, can't write, whatever. So she goes away on a trip, and her book that she's writing has to do with like a cop, and so people were like, her best friend was like, well, you know, if you kind of like live that part, then you can write better. Well, it just so happens that while she's on vacation to do this writing for however long she's going, a cop shows up at her door and is like, hey, there was an accident. Do you know who so-and-so is? And they basically offed themselves. And she's like, no, I don't. And so then the cop ends up like role-playing the book that she's writing. So she ends up cheating on her husband and he's cheating on his wife. And they're like role-playing like shit that's going to be happening in her book as she's writing it. Well, then she finds out that after all of this, he was an actor. Well, he wasn't even an actor. He fucking wrote movies. And then she finds out that her best friend was in on it. And she was like, well, I mean, you know, like, I mean, you wrote a book, you know, and it was good or whatever. And I'm just like, what the fuck? He wasn't even married. He literally role-played all of it. This book was pretty good. I think that you guys should read it. A therapist obsessed with the human mind of like serial killers, people that do bad things. And then there's also a lawyer where his son has passed away. In this book, The Good Lie, there's 6 kids that were murdered. And the lawyer is trying to figure out what happened to his son. In the book, while he's trying to figure it out, there's a kid that gets loose. There's only one kid that gets loose. And so the kid says that it's somebody in the book. But the problem is that it's not that person. And the lawyer has already figured it out. He hires the therapist to interview the guy that's in jail who's being falsely accused. But he thinks that she knows who the original killer is. So then he tries to go after her as well. And she's like, whoa, whoa, whoa. Anyways, they end up falling in love after the fact. But this book was twisted, fucked up, and a must read, if you ask me. The Last Party, this one fucked me up for sure. So this one is about this girl who's a fucking serial killer. Since she was a kid and nobody knew, her father was in jail. Okay, her father like took the blame for it, was in jail. Nobody knew about it but him and her. She gets older, changes her name, marries. She marries the brother of his sister was murdered by homeboy, so he thinks. But really it's her. And he's been visiting the dad under a different, like, name to try to figure out, like, why he did it and, like, to get him to admit it, because he never admitted it, right? He just, like, they blamed him for it. There was no other way around it. And so he'd been visiting him in jail because he was getting ready to die. He had cancer. I think they gave him, like, 2 weeks to live. He finds out that his wife is the one that's the murderer. And they have a daughter together. And the dad tells him, like, you need to watch out because basically she's evil. So on her daughter's 12th birthday, she sets up the scene the exact same way that it was set up when she was 12 years old, when she murdered her fucking friends because she was jealous because they got more attention than her from her dad. And she's going to murder her daughter and her 2 friends that she let come to the party. Well, dad, of course, finds out about this, right? Her husband. And he's like, what the fuck? Because she tried to drug them and shit. And so he, like, stops it, ends up killing her, and gets off the hook. This book right here, I would say it's a must read for me because it was fucked up. This is the second book, Phantom and Hope. And this book brings you on to the person that had died in the first book, which is where I said that I cried. So the main character in this book is the one that had passed away, but it's his life through being a ghost. And in this book, he can't figure out, like, why he's still stuck in the real world. Like, he's stuck in the in-between. And then he realizes that there's shit that, like, obviously was left unsaid or undone. So he's on this journey to figure out, like, what he needs to do because he doesn't want to be there. He's like, what the fuck? Like, basically, I'm dead. Like, why am I still here? And I'm stuck here and I just want to go into the afterlife. But so he ends up making a bucket list. He finds another phantom, aka another ghost, and they're, like, falling in love. And she's like, no, I'm bad. I'm bad. And she has, like, all these secrets that he'll be finding out in the book. So this one, I would definitely give this one a 10 out of 10. If you didn't see my first video, make sure that you go watch my first video and that you guys read this book and let me know what you think about it too. This book got me. If you're ready to cry, then you must read The Fabric of Our Souls. This book is about this girl who thinks about offing herself. She has a bad heart. And this guy finds her in the hospital, pretends that he is a doctor when really he's not, but he pretends to be. They all end up at this place, you know, that you go to get better. And then she ends up being his roommate, and he also has a best friend that's there as well, named Lanster, I think, or Lanston. And they find out in this place that, okay, so they're all fucked up there, right? So Lanston and her, they both, like, want it themselves all the time. The other guy, the main dude, he hurts himself all the time. But they find out that at this place, there's been people that have been there. And so they're, like, trying to figure out what happened to them. Well, then they figure out in the story that there is a killer that's there. And at the end of the book, they find out who it is. And then, gosh, how do I say this without ruining it? Okay, let's just say that one of them out of the 3, they all get tattoos. One of them out of the 3 does die, which brings us into the second book of this series. This is a must read. I definitely give this one a 10 out of 10. Wings of a Devil is, I believe, the last book in the Sinners and Angels series, which is the mafia, like, dark romance. And this was a short read, and at first I was, like, a little bit confused, but in one of the earlier books, there was these 2 guys, they were kids, really, that had went to college, and they had got schmurdered in the alley, and one of them was her brother. So Jared was her brother, and she was trying to figure out, like, who schmurdered him and she was going to make him pay. And then she had found out who it was. And, of course, it was, like, the person in charge of the mafia at this point. And so anyway, so she wants to find out who it was or whatever. But what happens is she uses another guy to get to him. And then, dude, then the whole, like, then she finds out that her brother actually was, like, a piece of shit and treated women really bad. So she's like, what the hell? So then she finds out from another one of the characters in the earlier books, like, what really went down. So then she, like, changes her mind, but ends up getting with the guy that she played and the mafia dude that she wanted to I was like, okay. I mean, it was an easy read, but to me, I was like, I don't know, it was kind of like pointless. Okay, Broken Like You. So this girl, Claire, she is forced to move because her dad like got a job opportunity in another country, so she had to move to California where her mom lives, but like she doesn't even know who the fuck her mom is because she just like left her because her job was more important. So when she first gets to California, she runs into this guy, Johnny, and he, oh my gosh, like I don't even know where to start with him. He basically he's like an errand boy, but like for the mafia, and he has to run packages, and he did that to like save a little boy's life because the little boy had got involved in it. Well, anyways, the main mafia guy tries to off Johnny because Johnny's like really smart, and Claire and Johnny went to college together, and so then they ended up becoming like really good friends or whatever, and then she like learned about his like job, I guess, and that like they were trying to kill him, and so she's like, what the fuck? And so then they fake his death because he had survived. So they fake his death and they move back to her hometown. Well, he didn't even know who his father was, and then he finds out that his father is like the main mafia dude on the East Coast, and finds out that the main mafia dude on the West Coast is his uncle, because hello, they're brothers. And his father ends up dying, by the way. And his uncle ends up dying. It's like a whole thing. But this one I would definitely give it 5 stars. And it's part of the Sinners and Angels series. So I mean, they are standalones, but I think that you need to read them all. Okay, bye. Okay, Villain Era is the second book to Untamed Vixen in this dark mafia romance. So June was in the hospital. She had got shot, but she ended up surviving while she was trying to off Simon, who Simon was trying to, he was basically in competition with Dominic, trying to get like the head of the mafia as well. And so she wanted to secure that spot and get rid of him. Well, she ended up not getting rid of him. And he ended up becoming her bodyguard in this book. I'm like, what the fuck? And so he ends up becoming her bodyguard, and he's like watching her 24/7, and they're trying to figure out basically who put like these hits on her, because she had a hit on her. She'd been captured in this book like 2 or 3 times. Of course, you know, she gets away, which I don't know. I didn't really like that part of the book. Like, okay, realistically, if you're going to be captured 3 times, you're not getting away 3 times. Like, you're just not. But anyways, so they figure out like who put the hit on and like how all this shit was set up. So she ends up also falling in love with Simon. So now it's her, Simon, Magnus, Cohen, and Dominic that end up being like a whole thing together. But this book, it was really good. I did like book 1 as well. I just didn't like the fact that she gets kidnapped 3 times and gets away with it. So if you like dark romance, then I would recommend this book. Untamed Vixen is part of a series. The other one is Ruin My Life, which I think I read these out of order, but whatever. But anyways, Untamed Vixen, there's June in the book, and June meets this guy, Dominic, where he's in the mafia, but she doesn't know it. And then she also meets this other guy, Magnus, who's in the mafia, doesn't know it. She refuses to kind of like date anybody because she had not really a boyfriend, but like her best friend in school was named Cohen. And she kind of was pissed off because Cohen just like up and left with his dad and then never came back to her. Well, she finds out later on that Cohen is involved with Dominic and Magnus as well, and they all live together under the same house. Anyways, so in the book, Dominic is trying to take the like main position of like to be head of mafia. And so badass over here, June, she goes to take a knife and stab somebody, so that way there she makes sure that he wins. Well, she gets shot in the book. Yep, she gets shot. So now she's over in the hospital, don't know if she's gonna live. And then that'll bring us on to the second book. You're not ready for this one. You are not ready for Ruin My Life. Okay, I thought I was ready. I wasn't ready. Literally took my whole soul with it. Okay, so long story short, picture this. Okay, This guy, her dad fucks up. Her mom has cancer. He's in debt with a mafia dude. Mafia dude goes to him, all right? Sees her and he's like, you know what? No, I want her, right? And so she's like, what the fuck? Has no other choice because it's either her or both of her parents offed, all right? So he's coming to get her in a month. She ends up negotiating. Her best friend, she's with mafia dudes. I think like 3 of them or 4 of them in the book. I can't remember. I'm pretty sure it's 3 or 4. I don't know. But anyways, she's with these guys. Well, homegirl over here, she ends up getting with 3 mafia dudes herself because she hates her boss, and she does like interior designing. She hates her boss, where her boss tries to come to her, you know what I mean, do the whole thing. And she's like, hell no. Takes a box cutter. He's gone. Okay? He's gone. So the guy that she's supposed to be showing this to is a fucking billionaire, of course, in the mafia that she falls in love with. They end up playing, like, they figure out that she has to go to this other mafia guy, plan a whole scheme to take him out, okay? When I tell you you're not ready for this, long story short, so this video doesn't get too long, you have to read this book. 5 stars, 6 stars, 7 stars, 10 stars from me. Read the book to find out what happens in it.